What's up guys, it's Jukes and welcome to another new video. So in this video I'm going to talk about my custom tactics and player instructions. So I had a few replies on my last video asking for me to talk about that, so here it is. So I use these custom tactics for every single formation that I use, so I never change them when I switch formations. But yeah, so I've still got speed on 70. I've changed a lot of my tactics around from time to time this year. Like usually at the start of a FIFA I'll find something I like and just kind of keep it, but this FIFA I think I've used like 10 different custom tactics, but I finally settled on this one. So I've got speed on 70. I had 70 last year as well, so I've tried speed on 60, but I just prefer 70. My players move quicker up the field, helps helps with transitions much easier, and you know, it's just so hard to attack pack defenses this year, so I want my players to move quicker up the field as much as I can to catch people on like 4-on-4s, 4-on-3s, stuff like that, like those scenarios that may hop or may pop up from time to time. And what else? So the big change in build-up play, last year I had 70-40, this year I've got 70-30, so there's a few reasons for that. One, you guys are all aware of the ping pong meta, so I want my players to be close together as much as possible. I want them to bunch up, I want them to be compact even when I'm going forward, so it just makes it easier to spam those 1-2s, makes it easier for me to attack. So but another reason is I don't like my players being spread out too much, mainly because when I lose the ball on 30 passing, in general my players are closer together, so I feel like I can win the ball back much easier. And even when I don't win the ball back right away, I feel like my defensive shape is much more compact. Whereas when I was using 40 passing, when I was using it at times this year, my players were just way too spread out. And like personally, I don't mind conceding space out wide, so sometimes you will concede space out wide with 30 passing, but like me, I'd rather always have players stacked up in the middle of the field as much as possible. I don't mind giving up space out wide, so that's what I've caught for build-up. So we got 70 and 30, and then positioning is still unorganized. Nothing's changed there. Moving on to chance creation, still got the passing on 70. I know it might be a bit contradictory because you would think if I have the passing on 70, my players are going to be more out of position as well since they're making more runs. But again, I feel like since the passing on build-up play is 30, in general your players will still be closer together when they're making runs, so it's not a big issue for me. And again, I just want players making more runs as much as possible to open things up in attack. Of course, you can hit those players with a pass when they're making the run, or you can use them as bait to draw a defender with them. Just gives you more space in general. So still passing for chance creation is on 70. I had 70 last year. But crossing, still on 20. As you guys know, I just barely cross, although I've crossed a bit here and there lately because I do have Bale and Ronaldo, but still I just don't want to rely on crossing, because I feel like crossing, the way the mechanic has worked in FIFA, it's just way too much based on how the AI is gonna make the run than how the AI will attack the header. So I don't like relying on crossing too much, so I always keep that number low if I can. But moving on to shooting, so this is another change. So last year I had 70, and I tried 70 again this year. I feel like my attack is way too stagnant. I feel like my players, once I get to the final third, they're not making those like subtle runs into the box, whereas with 50 I feel like they are. So I dropped it to 50. I had it at 60, but I just dropped it to 50. To be honest, there's not much difference between 50 and 60 because the setting itself is I think it's normal amounts of shooting. Like the big difference you'll see is when you change those numerical values, and the setting itself for that value, for that tactic, like changes. Like 60 to 50 is not much difference because the shooting is still on normal, but if you go from like 60 to 70, the setting itself changes from normal to lot, so that's when you'll see differences in custom tactics. I feel like that applies for every single option as well. I could be wrong, but I mean, EA have never really fully explained what the values mean, so I think I might be right, but who knows. So yeah, if you want to drop it from lots like 60, 50, or even 40, there's not going to be much difference between those three values, but I just dropped it to 50 because I suppose it's been working for me. Positioning still on freeform, just helps with unpredictability in the final third, and you know, it's not bad if your strikers are a bit more, what's it called, a bit more fluid in their movement. They drift wide at times, so I do have that on freeform just like last year. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the first two. Moving on to probably the biggest change in general that I've made to my custom tactics on the defense side. So last year I had a 70-60-40. I tried that this year. I tried 50-75-40. I tried 60-70-40, something like that. I think I tried 70-70-40 as well. Like I've mentioned on Twitter a few times, I think it's just impossible to viably press in this game to play proactive defense, so I feel like you're much better off just kind of sitting off a bit and baiting people into mistakes. So I've got pressure on 50, aggression on 50, and then team width on 45. So I'm not sitting back too deep, but I'm not like fully high up the field as well, so it's just kind of like a nice balance. Maybe I'll bump up pressure aggression when I get Hullet and Vieira in the team. We'll see if those two will make it easier to press, which I'm sure they will, but I don't know how much easier they'll make it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for custom tactics. I use these for every single formation that I use, so let's go into player instructions. So as you guys know, I don't keep my formation at the start. I switched to the 4-1-2-1-2 diamond in game. So I'll show you guys how it looks in game. We got Ronaldo on the right, Bale on the left, and then we've got Suarez on the right center mid. So we got Messi at cam. In general, you guys are aware of the bugs that this formation has. I really hope EA fix it sometime in the future. Like your left center mid and CDM will swap positions at kickoff, and your right center mid and cam will swap positions at kickoff as well. And sometimes it'll take a while to normalize. So keep in mind, if you are going to use this formation, it's helpful if you do have a more defensive left center mid, and if your right center mid is somewhat attacking. So this is how it looks in game. And then player instructions, what I'll do is fairly similar to last year. So we've got fullbacks both on stay back while attacking. I did try them on balanced, and it does help a lot going forward, but it just makes me so susceptible to counterattacks. It was a nightmare for me to defend against. Like in general, I'll have more of the ball than my opponent in like almost every game I'll play. And when I'm like pushing forward into the final third, and both of my fullbacks are kind of bombing up forward, and I lose the ball, generally I'll only have like my two center backs and a CDM to defend. So it just made me way too prone to counterattacks, and I just didn't want to deal with that. Like in general, defending counterattacks this year is not easy if you mistime a tackle, and it just makes it much tougher if my fullbacks are going forward. But if you are struggling in the final third with the formation, you could leave them on balance. Just keep in mind it'll be harder to defend counterattacks. So on the CDM, just like last year, we have stay back while attacking. And to be fair, if there's one positive thing about this game, it does seem like player instructions actually work for the first time ever. I think they're almost like fully functional. So you're, in general, like your CDM is actually going to stay back. The only time he'll kind of push up is when maybe you go attacking or ultra attacking, and then if you, of course, initiate 1-2 passes with them. But yeah, so CDM stay back while attacking just like last year, and then the center mids are on default. And then the cam is on stay forward. It's actually interesting that this instruction doesn't help with that bug. I don't know why that bug exists, because it didn't exist in the other FIFA previously that I'm aware of. But even if you do put your cam at stay forward, he'll still sometimes swap positions with the right center mid. So Like there's like no fix to that bug, but yeah, I still have him at stay forward because when he is actually in that position, he will actually stay forward, and he'll be close to the 2 strikers. So it just helps if you do win the ball back, you have those 3 attackers going forward, and you can of course do the incredible ping pong. That's easy to do in this game. But yeah, so we've got the cam on stay forward, and then on the strikers we've got just get in behind this year. So I did get rid of press back line. Like I said, I just felt like it was just kind of pointless for me to have them pressing the back line with how hard it is to press this year, and just I felt like they were leaving their position too much, and once I got the ball back they were just all over the place. So I got rid of that, so we only have getting behind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So fairly similar to last year. Main differences is just less aggression in defense, I suppose, in terms of custom tactics and player instructions that I use this year. One changes that I may make when I go behind. I usually don't do anything with custom tactics this year. What's it called? I'll actually change my fullback instructions from stay back to balance, just so I have them pushing up. But I only do that when I'm like behind, when I'm like chasing the game, and I'll mainly do that in FUT champs. Usually I don't bother with it too much in seasons. But in terms of any other changes I make when I'm trying to close a game out, that's usually when I'll switch formations to the 4-2-3-1 narrow, because it's just kind of easier to pass it about and time waste in general, just because you have the width from the wide cams as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll answer as many as I can. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. If you guys liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up as always. Thanks a ton for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Take it easy.